Then the Mallas, their sons, daughters-in-law and wives, distraught, saddened and grief-stricken, went to the Malian Salgrove at Upavatana and approached Ananda. Then Ananda thought, if I have the Mallas pay homage to the Buddha one by one, they won't be finished before first light. I'd better separate them family by family, and then have them pay homage, saying, Sir, the Malla named so-and-so with children, wives, retinue and ministers bows with his head at your feet. And so that's what he did. So by this means, Ananda got the Mallas to finish paying homage to the Buddha in the first watch of the night. Section 34. On Subhadda the Wanderer. Now at that time a wanderer named Subhadda was residing near Kusinara. He heard that on that very day, in the last watch of the night, the ascetic Gotama would become fully extinguished. He thought, I have heard that Brahmins of the past who were elderly and senior, the teachers of teachers, said, only rarely do realized ones arise in the world, perfected ones, fully awakened Buddhas. And this very day, in the last watch of the night, the ascetic Gotama will become fully extinguished. This state of uncertainty has come up in me. I am quite confident that the Buddha is capable of teaching me, so that I can give up this state of uncertainty. Then Subhadda went to the Malian Salgrove at Upavatana, approached Ananda, and said to him, Master Ananda, I have heard that Brahmins of the past who were elderly and senior, the teachers of teachers, said, only rarely do realized ones arise in the world, perfected ones, fully awakened Buddhas. And this very day, in the last watch of the night, the ascetic Gotama will become fully extinguished. This state of uncertainty has come up in me. I am quite confident that the Buddha is capable of teaching me, so that I can give up this state of uncertainty. Master Ananda, please let me see the ascetic Gotama. When he had spoken, Ananda said, Enough, Reverend Subhadda, do not trouble the realized one, he is tired. For a second time and a third time, Subhadda asked Ananda, and a third time Ananda refused. The Buddha heard that discussion between Ananda and Subhadda. He said to Ananda, Enough, Ananda. Don't obstruct Subhadda, let him see the realized one. For whatever he asks me, he will only be looking for understanding, not trouble, and he will quickly understand any answer I give to his question. Then Ananda said to the wanderer Subhadda, Go, Reverend Subhadda, the Buddha is taking the time for you. Then the wanderer Subhadda went up to the Buddha and exchanged greetings with him. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side and said to the Buddha, Master Gotama, there are those ascetics and Brahmins who lead an order and a community and teach a community. They are well known and famous religious founders, regarded as holy by many people, namely Puranakasapa, Makali Gosala, Niganta Nataputta, Sanjaya Balatiputta, Pakuda Kachayana, and Ajita Kesakambala. According to their own claims, did all of them have direct knowledge, or none of them, or only some? Enough, Subhadda, let that be. I shall teach you the Dhamma. Listen and pay close attention, I will speak. Yes, sir, Subhadda replied. The Buddha said this, Subhadda, in whatever teaching and training the Noble Eightfold Path is not found, there is no true ascetic found, no second ascetic, no third ascetic, and no fourth ascetic. In whatever teaching and training the Noble Eightfold Path is found, there is a true ascetic found, a second ascetic, a third ascetic, and a fourth ascetic. In this teaching and training the Noble Eightfold Path is found. Only here is there a true ascetic, here a second ascetic, here a third ascetic, and here a fourth ascetic. Other sects are empty of ascetics. Were these mendicants to practice well, the world would not be empty of perfected ones. I was 29 years of age, Subhadra, when I went forth to discover what is skillful. It's been over 50 years since I went forth. I am the one who points out the proper teaching. Outside of here, there is no true ascetic. Were these mendicants to practice well, the world would not be empty of perfected ones. When he had spoken, Subhadra said to the Buddha, "Excellent, sir, excellent," as if he were writing the overturned, or revealing the hidden, or pointing out the path to the lost, or lighting a lamp in the dark so people with good eyes can see what's there. The Buddha has made the teaching clear in many ways. I go for refuge to the Buddha, to the teaching, and to the mendicant Sangha. Sir, may I receive the going forth, the ordination in the Buddha's presence? Subhadra, if someone formally ordained in another sect wishes to take the going forth, the ordination in this teaching and training, they must spend 4 months on probation. When 4 months have passed, if the mendicants are satisfied, they'll give the going forth, the ordination into monkhood. However, I have recognized individual differences in this matter. Sir, if 4 months' probation are required in such a case, I'll spend 4 years on probation. When 4 years have passed, if the mendicants are satisfied, let them give me the going forth, the ordination into monkhood. Then the Buddha said to Ananda, "Well then, Ananda, give Subhadra the going forth." "Yes, sir," Ananda replied. Then Subhadra said to Ananda, "You're so fortunate, Reverend Ananda, so very fortunate to be anointed here in the teacher's presence as his pupil." And the wanderer Subhadra received the going forth, the ordination in the Buddha's presence. Not long after his ordination, Venerable Subhadra, living alone, withdrawn, diligent, keen, and resolute, soon realized the supreme end of the spiritual path in this very life. He lived having achieved with his own insight the goal for which people from good families rightly go forth from the lay life to homelessness. He understood, rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is no return to any state of existence. And Venerable Subhadra became one of the perfected. He was the last personal disciple of the Buddha. Section 35. The Buddha's Last Words. Then the Buddha addressed Venerable Ananda. "Now, Ananda, some of you might think the teacher's dispensation has passed. Now we have no teacher, but you should not see it like this. The teaching and training that I have taught and pointed out for you shall be your teacher after my passing. After my passing, mendicants ought not to address each other as reverend as they do today. A more senior mendicant ought to address a more junior mendicant by name or clan, or by saying reverend. A more junior mendicant ought to address a more senior mendicant using sir or venerable. If it wishes, after my passing the Sangha may abolish the lesser and minor training rules. After my passing, give the prime punishment to the mendicant Channa. But, sir, what is the prime punishment? Channa may say what he likes, but the mendicants should not advise or instruct him. Then the Buddha said to the mendicants, perhaps even a single mendicant has doubt or uncertainty regarding the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, the path, or the practice. So ask mendicants. Don't regret it later thinking we were in the teacher's presence and we weren't able to ask the Buddha a question. When this was said, the mendicants kept silent. For a second time, and for a third time, the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Perhaps even a single mendicant has doubt or uncertainty regarding the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, the path, or the practice. So ask mendicants. Don't regret it later thinking we were in the teacher's presence and we weren't able to ask the Buddha a question. For a third time the mendicants kept silent. Then the Buddha said to the mendicants, "Mendicants, perhaps you don't ask out of respect for the teacher, so let a friend tell a friend." When this was said, the mendicants kept silent. Then Venerable Ananda said to the Buddha, "It's incredible, sir, it's amazing. I am quite confident that there's not even a single mendicant in this Sangha who has doubt or uncertainty regarding the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, the path, or the practice." Ananda, you speak from faith, but the realized one knows that there's not even a single mendicant in this Sangha who has doubt or uncertainty regarding the Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, the path, or the practice. Even the last of these 500 mendicants is a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. Then the Buddha said to the mendicants, "Come now, mendicants, I say to you all, conditions fall apart. Persist with diligence." These were the realized one's last words. Section 36. The full extinguishment. Then the Buddha entered the first absorption. Emerging from that, he entered the second absorption. Emerging from that, he successively entered into and emerged from the third absorption, the fourth absorption, the dimension of infinite space, the dimension of infinite consciousness, the dimension of no thingness, and the dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. Then he entered the cessation of perception and feeling. Then Venerable Ananda said to the Venerable Anuruddha, "Venerable Anuruddha, has the Buddha become fully extinguished?" "No, Reverend Ananda, he has entered the cessation of perception and feeling." Then the Buddha emerged from the cessation of perception and feeling and entered the dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. Emerging from that, he successively entered into and emerged from the dimension of no thingness, the dimension of infinite consciousness, the dimension of infinite space, the fourth absorption, the third absorption, the second absorption, and the first absorption. Emerging from that, he successively entered into and emerged from the second absorption and the third absorption. Then he entered the fourth absorption. Emerging from that, the Buddha immediately became fully extinguished. When the Buddha became fully extinguished, along with the full extinguishment, there was a great earthquake, awe-inspiring and hair-raising, and thunder cracked the sky. When the Buddha became fully extinguished, Sakka, Lord of Gods, recited this verse, "All creatures in this world must lay their body down, for even a teacher such as this, unrivaled in the world, the realized one attained to power, the Buddha became fully extinguished." When the Buddha became fully extinguished, Sakka, Lord of Gods, recited this verse, "Oh, conditions are impermanent, their nature is to rise and fall. Having arisen, they cease. Their stilling is true bliss." When the Buddha became fully extinguished, Venerable Anuruddha recited this verse, "There was no more breathing for the poised one of steady heart. Imperturbable, committed to peace, the sage has done his time. He put up with painful feelings without flinching. The liberation of his heart was like the extinguishing of a lamp." When the Buddha became fully extinguished, Venerable Ananda recited this verse, "Then there was terror, then they had goosebumps, when the Buddha, endowed with all fine qualities, became fully extinguished." When the Buddha became fully extinguished, some of the mendicants there, with arms raised, falling down like their feet were chopped off, rolling back and forth, lamented, "Too soon the Blessed One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the Holy One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the seer has vanished from the world." But the mendicants who were free of desire endured, mindful and aware, thinking, Conditions are impermanent. How could it possibly be otherwise? Then Anuruddha addressed the mendicants. Enough, reverence. Do not grieve or lament. Did the Buddha not prepare us for this when he explained that we must be parted and separated from all we hold dear and beloved? How could it possibly be so that what is born, created, conditioned, and liable to fall apart should not fall apart? The deities are complaining. But, sir, what kind of deities are you thinking of? There are, Ananda, deities both in the sky and on earth, who are percipient of the earth. With hair dishevelled and arms raised, they fall down like their feet were chopped off, rolling back and forth, lamenting, "Too soon the Blessed One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the Holy One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the seer has vanished from the world." But the deities who are free of desire endure, mindful and aware, thinking, conditions are impermanent. How could it possibly be otherwise? Then Ananda and Anuruddha spent the rest of the night talking about Dhamma. Then Anuruddha said to Ananda, "Go, Ananda, into Kusinara and inform the Malas. Vasitas, the Buddha has become fully extinguished. Please come at your convenience." "Yes, sir," replied Ananda. Then, in the morning, he dressed and, taking his bowl and robe, entered Kusinara with a companion. Now at that time the Malas of Kusinara were sitting together at the meeting hall on some business. Ananda went up to them and announced, "Vasitas, the Buddha has become fully extinguished. Please come at your convenience." When they heard what Ananda had to say, the Malas, their sons, daughters-in-law and wives became distraught, saddened and grief-stricken. And some, with hair dishevelled and arms raised, falling down like their feet were chopped off, rolling back and forth, lamented, "Too soon the Blessed One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the Holy One has become fully extinguished. Too soon the seer has vanished from the world." Section 37. The rites of venerating the Buddha's corpse. Then the Malas ordered their men, "So then, my men, collect fragrances and garlands, and all the musical instruments in Kusinara." Then, taking those fragrances and garlands, all the musical instruments, and 500 pairs of garments, they went to the Malian Salgrove at Upavatana and approached the Buddha's corpse. They spent the day honouring, respecting, revering and venerating the Buddha's corpse with dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances, and making awnings and setting up pavilions. Then they thought, "It's too late to cremate the Buddha's corpse today, let's do it tomorrow." But they spent the next day the same way, and so too the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th days. Then on the 7th day they thought, "Honouring, respecting, revering and venerating the Buddha's corpse with dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances, let us carry it to the south of the town and cremate it there outside the town." Now at that time 8 of the leading Malas, having bathed their heads and dressed in unworn clothes, said, "We shall lift the Buddha's corpse." But they were unable to do so. The Malas said to Anuruddha, "What is the cause, Venerable Anuruddha? What is the reason why these 8 Malian leaders are unable to lift the Buddha's corpse?" "Vasitas, you have one plan, but the deities have a different one." "But, sir, what is the deities' plan?" "You plan to carry the Buddha's corpse to the south of the town while venerating it with dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances, and cremate it there outside the town. The deities plan to carry the Buddha's corpse to the north of the town while venerating it with celestial dance and song and music and garlands and fragrances. Then they plan to enter the town by the northern gate, carry it through the centre of the town, leave by the eastern gate, and cremate it there at the Malian shrine named Makuta Bandhana." "Sir, let it be as the deities plan."